She was born on the cold moon of Verax 7, a place made only for one thing, breeding. The Veraxians were not like humans. They did not love, laugh, or cry. They believed in one rule: perfect genes make a perfect future. Every child was scanned, measured, and sorted at birth, and she was born. Different. Her skin was silver blue, smooth and flawless. Her eyes were brighter than others, and her brain was fast, even faster than most council members. But there was a problem. Her hips were wide, too wide by Veraxian standards. The doctors scanned her and frowned. They tapped their cold screens. Unfit, one said. Not good for breeding. Wrong shape. Waste of resources, said another. They stamped her file with one word: rejected. She was only 3 hours old. When they took her away from the perfect borns and sent her to the lower zone. And the lower zone, the rejected ones lived quietly. They worked in silence. No one looked at each other. No one dreamed. She grew up without a name. Just a number, X942. But inside her, something was different. She watched the stars through the cracks in the metal roof. She listened to music from old human signals. She dreamed of a world where no one was called defective. But dreams were dangerous. On Verax-7. One day, a deep voice came through the announcement speakers. A human ship is arriving for research exchange. All zones must prepare. For the first time in 14 cycles, humans were coming. When the human ship landed, everyone stood in lines. Clean uniforms. Silent faces. He stepped out of the ship, the human ambassador. A male, tall, calm, with warm brown eyes that moved slowly, kindly. His name was Dr. Elias Monroe. He was different. Where Veraxians moved like machines, he walked like a painter. Where they spoke like computers, he smiled. As he passed by the lower zone, he saw her. She was cleaning the edge of a transport panel, her silver blue skin glowing under the dull light. Her hands moved with grace. Her eyes lifted just for a second and met his. He stopped walking. Who is she? He asked. The Veraxian officer beside him looked annoyed. Just a defective. Not worth your time. But Elias didn't move. He took a step closer. May I speak to her? It is not standard procedure. I'm not a standard human, he said with a smile. She stood still as he approached. Hello, he said softly. She looked at him, confused. No one had ever said hello to her before. I'm Elias. What's your name? She opened her mouth but said nothing. Finally, she whispered, X942. He frowned. That's not a name. That's a label. She shrugged. I was born wrong. He smiled sadly. No, you were just born. They talked for a few minutes. Just small things, stars, music, earth. He told her humans used to sing songs to the stars. Her eyes widened with wonder. As he turned to leave, he gently touched her hand. It was a soft touch, not cold, not medical, just human. She had never been touched like that before. For a moment, time slowed, but not everyone was happy. From above, a black camera lens zoomed in. The council saw everything. One of the elders said, "The human shows too much interest." Another replied, "This defective may become a problem." They sent a message to the human ship. Please respect our cultural boundaries. Do not engage with genetic rejects. Back in the lower zone, she sat alone on her bed, her heart something. The Veraxians called a useless muscle was beating faster. She had felt something in that touch. Something warm, something new. She didn't understand it. But she wanted more. In his ship, Elias stared at the stars. He thought about her silver blue eyes, her soft voice. She's not defective, he whispered to himself. She's sacred. The human had touched her, gently, like she was something rare. And then He left. For hours, she sat still on the cold metal floor, staring at her hand. The place where his skin had touched hers still felt warm, as if the memory refused to fade. No one on Verax 7 touched like that. Here, a touch meant a scan, a test, a punishment. But this was different. It was not command. It was not control. It was care. In the upper zone of the moon station, Dr. Elias Monroe stood by a glass window, watching the strange stars of this galaxy. His mind should have been on trade talks, data exchange, or biology, but he was thinking about her. She wasn't like the others. There was something alive in her eyes. Something human. She didn't speak much, but when she did, it wasn't programmed. It was poetry. Later that cycle, he walked back to the lower zone, this time alone. The guards warned him again. She is unfit, they said. She is not for interaction. She is a failure of the breeding program. He smiled and said, "So am I," and walked past them. She was cleaning the hydropipes when she saw him again. She froze, her eyes wide, her breath caught. "You came back," she whispered. "Of course I did," he said, smiling. "Didn't anyone ever come back for you before?" She shook her head slowly. "No one ever came. At all." They sat together by a wall, half broken and hidden from the cameras. She told him her dreams, about music, about colors she saw in her sleep, about how she wanted to dance but didn't know how. He laughed gently. "You don't need to know. You just feel it." Then he did something dangerous. He reached out, slowly, and held both her hands. Warmth, connection, a moment outside of rules. "You're not broken," he said. "You've just been living among the wrong people." In a dark control room, alarms flashed red. Unauthorized contact detected. A council voice spoke. "This human is a threat to cultural order." Another answered. "Prepare a warning." One more meeting, and we will act. But she didn't know that. All she knew was the feeling in her chest, something rising, something that had no name in her language. "Why are you being kind to me?" she asked. "Because kindness is free," he said, "but it changes everything." That night, back in her small metal room, she carved something into the wall for the first time. Elias. No one on this moon had ever given her a name, but now she had one to hold on to. In his cabin, Elias opened his notebook and wrote, "She sees stars the way humans used to, not with science, but with soul." What they call defective might be the most human thing I've seen in years. But the council was not pleased. They had seen enough. A secret order was issued. The human must be warned. The girl must be reprogrammed before emotion becomes infection. She didn't sleep that night. Her mind kept replaying it. The sound of his voice, the way he said her name, not like a code, but like a person. No one had ever seen her before. Not really. But now someone had, and he was not one of them. Was human. Elias returned again. This time, he brought something hidden under his coat, a small music device from Earth. Old. Dusty, but it still worked. He pressed a button and soft piano sounds filled the broken hallway. Her eyes widened. "What is this?" she asked. "Music," he said. "Humans don't just exist. We feel. This helps us remember that." She closed her eyes, listening. She didn't understand the notes, but she felt them. Like tiny lights floating inside her. No one had ever given her a gift, not even a smile. But not far away, someone was watching. A young Veraxian guard, trained to report. Deviants had been listening. His eyes were cold. His report was quick. Unauthorized bonding confirmed. Human contact repeated. Female reject shows emotional response. The council read the message in silence. One elder tapped the table. "The infection has begun." Back in the lower zone, Elias leaned closer to her. "I have to ask you something," he said. You've been here your whole life, but you still dream. How? She looked away. Her voice was soft. I don't know. I was born different, remember? Maybe that includes my heart too. He smiled. Good. Then you're exactly who I want to know. He didn't realize he was breaking 100 rules. She didn't realize she was becoming dangerous, but the bond had already started, and it could not be stopped. That evening, she was called by the zone officers. No explanation. Just a cold room, a bright light, and 3 council enforcers. They asked questions she didn't understand. How many times have you seen the human? Has he touched you again? Did he activate emotional pathways? She didn't speak. So they took her silence as guilt. Elias was blocked from the lower zone the next day. No more visits. The guard said flatly, "Council orders." He frowned. Why? What did she do? Wrong question, human. What did you do? That night, he couldn't sleep either. He paced his room, reading the message she had secretly written on a small piece of recycled metal. When you held my hands, I felt like I existed. In a hidden archive room, Elias pulled up an old file. Subject: X942 status: rejected reason, unfit for breeding, emotionally unstable, genetically wasteful. He stared at the file, then slowly whispered, "You people don't understand what treasure is." Meanwhile, she sat in isolation. No music, no light, no touch, but she still smiled, because even in silence, she remembered his voice. The council thought it was over, but they didn't understand one thing about humans. Once we love something, we fight for it. The room was white, too white, so white. It felt like it wanted to erase her. She sat in the middle, no chair, no bed, no sound. Just light. The council called it emotional neutralization. She called it a slow death. Somewhere far above, behind thick glass and stone walls, Elias was shouting, "You can't just lock her away. She's not a machine." A tall Varaxian stood calm, almost bored. "Your mission is scientific, not personal." Elias slammed his hand on the table. "You don't see it, do you? She's not defective. She's alive. She feels." "That's more than I can say for any of you." The Varaxian's eyes narrowed. "You are not here to fall in love." There. The word was said, out loud, like a crime. Love. In the white room. She closed her eyes. She could feel something in her chest, a pulse, a pressure. They had injected her with a chemical. To balance emotions, they said. But she wasn't balanced. She was breaking. Elias sat alone in his room. He looked at the music player he had once shared with her. It was silent now. He remembered how she had smiled, even when the world around her was cold. "She's stronger than all of them," he whispered. Then he made a choice. He went to the communication chamber, hacked into the archive feed, and found her room. There she was. Still, pale, alone. He placed a hand on the screen and said just one sentence. "Hold on. I'm coming for you." The council noticed. One elder leaned forward. "He has made his choice." Another replied, "Then we shall give him a test." The next day, Elias received a message from the council. "Come to Chamber 9, alone." He arrived to find a long room, dark and quiet. At the end stood a single console, a red button, a single file open on the screen. Subject X942. Then a voice spoke through the wall. "Press the button and she is erased from the system. She will be forgotten. You may continue your mission with full diplomatic honor." He stepped closer. Eyes on the button, hands shaking. "And if I don't? You will be marked a traitor. You will be returned to Earth in disgrace. Your work, your mission, your career, all gone." He stared at the red light. In the white room. She felt something, like a string pulling at her chest, a connection. A heartbeat not her own, Was he still out there, or had he forgotten her too? Elias took a deep breath. He thought of her laugh, so quiet, her hands when they first touched his, her eyes sad, curious, strong. He smiled. Then he spoke into the air. You call it a test. I call it a trap. But I already passed mine. I chose her. And he turned his back to the button. The council watched. Emotion wins. One elder said bitterly. No, said another slower. Humanity wins. Later that night, in a hidden corridor, a door opened. Elias stood there, breathless, dirty, but alive. She looked up in shock. You came, she whispered. I said I would. She ran into his arms, weak but smiling, and for the first time since she was born, she felt safe. But deep in the council chambers, a new plan had begun. They escaped our test. But the real game is just starting. The alarms were silent. That's how Varaxians did it. No noise. No panic, just red lights. And quiet death. Elias held her hand as they ran through the empty corridor. Her legs were weak. The chemical from isolation still slowed her movements. But she didn't stop because he was there, and because this was her first time running towards something, not from it. Behind them, black-skinned guards moved like shadows. No shouting. No commands. Just quiet footsteps and steel eyes. They weren't coming to capture. They were coming to erase. Elias turned a corner and tapped his wristband. Open bay. 6. Code, Earthlight. The door didn't open. He tried again. Access denied. The voice said coldly, We're locked out, he muttered. She looked up, eyes wide. What do we do now? He looked at her, then at the vent above. We crawl. They squeezed through narrow metal tunnels, the heat rising, machines humming. She was shaking. Her body wasn't built for this. But he kept whispering, You're strong? I've seen it. And she believed him. Because no one had ever believed in her before. At the end of the tunnel, a small drone waited. It blinked twice. A tiny voice came from it. Elias Monroe. Unauthorized action detected. Do you wish to escape with the reject? He replied without hesitation. She's not a reject. She's the reason I remember what it means to be human. The drone paused. Then beeped once. Escape protocol activated. Countdown begins. Below them, the guards found the empty room. 2. Late, one said, but another whispered, They won't get far. Not without being seen. Back in the docking bay, a small ship blinked to life. It was old. Rusty, human-made. But it still had a heart, just like her. Elias helped her into the Jindu seat and buckled in. She looked at the stars through the window. So many, she whispered. And I've never seen one up close. He smiled. You're about to. Then the blast doors started to close. Metal screamed. Time slowed. Go! She shouted. He slammed the controls. The ship roared. Behind them, plasma shots lit up the bay. Laser missed by inches. The gate was closing. The ship scraped through, sparks flying, and then silence. Stars. Darkness. Freedom. She sat back, heart racing. Elias looked at her. We're not safe yet, but we're away. She turned to him. I was always told I wasn't built to fly, she said softly. He smiled. They were wrong. But back on Varax 7, the council sat in still silence. Let them go, one elder said. Let them see what the stars do to the broken. Another elder tapped the screen. Send the hunter. The stars outside the window looked peaceful, but peace was a lie. Inside the stolen ship, the air was thin, the systems flickering, and the fuel almost gone. Elias checked the control panel. One more jump, he said. Maybe 2, if we're lucky. She sat beside him, quiet. Her fingers touched the glass. This is the first time I've Seen space, she whispered. He glanced at her, smiling through the tension. Beautiful, isn't it? She nodded. So big, so free. I didn't know the sky could feel like a door, but somewhere behind them, a hunter was coming, faster than light, built for pursuit. Trained for erasure, the council called him Unit. K-17. Elias called him Death in a uniform. The ship's warning lights flashed red. Unmarked vessel on approach, the system spoke. Elias stared at the radar. They found us, her voice shook. Can we outrun them? He shook his head. No, but we might be able to fool them. He turned to her, serious now. There's an escape pod. Only one. It's small, but it has enough for you to survive. She frowned. What about you? He hesitated. If I stay, I can draw them away. Buy you time. She stood suddenly. No. Listen to me. No, she said again, stronger now. I spent my whole life being thrown away. I won't let you throw yourself away for me. He stared at her, stunned. Not weak. Not broken. Strong. Then the communication screen blinked. On a voice cold and flat, human Elias Monroe. You are ordered to surrender. The defective female will be erased. You will be returned to Earth. Career intact, life spared. Elias stood slowly. He looked at her. She looked at him. Then he turned toward the screen and answered, no. The voice replied, flat and final. That is a foolish choice. He smiled. No, it's the first real choice I've made in years. The hunter ship opened fire. The blast rocked their hull. Sparks rained down. Get in the pod. Elias shouted, but she didn't move. I'm not leaving without you, she said. He grabbed her shoulders. I'd rather you live. And I'd rather we live, she replied. Then she looked at the console. What's that? She asked, pointing to a blinking button. A decoy beacon, Elias said. If we launch it, maybe they'll chase the wrong ship. She pressed it. Outside, a second ship launched, fast, bright, and empty. The hunter turned. Target locked. Gone. Inside their real ship, silence returned. No alarms. No chasing. Just two people breathing again. Side by side. She laughed suddenly. A soft, surprised laugh. I think we fooled them. Elias grinned. You think? She leaned back. I've never been good at surviving. He looked at her. You're better than good, he said. You're the reason I want to survive. They didn't know where they would land. They didn't know who would be waiting. But they knew this. They were not running anymore. They were choosing. Far away. The council received false data. Target terminated. An elder closed the file. Then it's done. But it wasn't. Because somewhere out there. Two hearts had just learned how to beat for each other. The stars were gone now, replaced by skies, soft blue. Warm light. And wind. She had never felt wind before. Not in the metal tunnels of Verax 7. Not in the silence of space. But here, on a hidden green world called Solace 3, the air moved. Like a song. She stood barefoot in the grass. It tickled her toes. She smiled. Elias watched her from the steps of the outpost. She hasn't stopped walking since we landed. One of the crew joked. She's learning what it means to be free. Elias said, strange, isn't it? The man replied, they called her defective. But out here, she's radiant. The humans of Solace 3 were survivors, scientists, artists, dreamers, people who had left behind Earth's rules. They believed in second chances. They believed in beauty that didn't fit charts or files. So when they saw her, they didn't scan her. They celebrated her. She was given a room with windows, a dress of her own, and a name, Leora, Elias said one evening. It means light. She looked at him, voice soft. Is that what I am to you? He smiled. No, you're more than that. Over the weeks, she painted. She danced in the fields. She sang old Earth songs he played for her. She had never seen her reflection before this world. And when she finally did, she didn't cry. She stood tall, because she no longer saw what the council had named broken. She saw what he had always seen. Sacred. But the past does not stay buried. One evening, a drone landed near the village. It carried a message, a file, a warning, a name, X942. Status: terminated. They still believed she was dead. Elias looked at her. You're free, truly. But Leora was quiet. Then she whispered, no, not yet. Later that night, she stood on a hill, her silver blue skin glowing under twin moons. She spoke into the wind. I was born for their system, but I wasn't made to fit it. I was made to change it. The humans gathered around her in the days that followed. They listened to her story. They recorded her words. They drew her face in murals, because her survival wasn't just luck. It was proof that love was stronger than logic. That soul mattered more than structure. That humanity wasn't about perfection. It was about choice. And Elias? He stayed by her side, not as a savior, but as a partner. As the first hand that ever held her with care. 1 year later, a message was sent into the stars. Not a threat, not a warning, just a simple broadcast. To all who were told they were too much, too strange, or too broken, there is a place for you. You are not a defect. You are a masterpiece in progress. The signal echoed across space. Maybe the council heard it. Maybe they didn't. But the galaxy was already changing, because somewhere on a quiet green world, a girl once marked as unfit had become a symbol of sacred life.